Welcome everybody to the mindfulness-based stress reduction program and also known as MBSR. And this is class number 2. And this class is all about reflecting and becoming more aware of how we see or don't see things and how the lens through which we see the world has a lot to do with how we react or respond to whatever is arising in the moment. So we're going to be diving a little bit more deeply into exploring the lens through which we see the world and how that affects us. So one thing I didn't do last week that I want to take the time to do today, and it's actually better because we have 6 new folks joining us tonight who were not able to make it for the first class. And that is, I always start my programs with a territorial acknowledgement. And so I wanted to share with you that I am teaching this class from my home in Brook Valley in the Ottawa Valley watershed on unceded Algonquin land. And whenever I teach a program, doesn't matter if it's through the Charlotte Lake Family Health Team or just wherever, I follow up my acknowledgement by donating a percentage of my revenues to an Indigenous organization. And this time I have chosen the Algonquin community of Barrier Lake in northern Quebec. And the reason I have chosen that particular community is my donation supports their struggle to continue to live a traditional life that is really rooted in their relationship with the land. And just another housekeeping matter. So this one, you're going to need to either jot this down or pull out your calendar, because in my intakes with a lot of you, I made a mistake in the date for the half-day retreat. So the day-long retreat that I had said previously was May 20th, and somebody pointed out to me in this group that that's the May long weekend, and that's probably not a great time to do the half-day retreat. So the new date for the half-day retreat is on Saturday, May the 13th, the week prior, from 9 to noon. So make a note of that and get in touch with me if there's any problem with that date for any of you, and we'll reassess at that point and see how that goes. So Saturday, May the 13th from 9 to noon. And fingers crossed, most of you can make that, because probably a lot of you, when you realized that Saturday, May 20th was the May long weekend, you probably wouldn't have. So, so that's that. Does anybody have any questions around that? I can always pause the recording if anybody has any questions. Great, okay. So in your handout, which I'm hoping from last week, I'm hoping everybody had a chance to look at. I asked you as part of your home assignment to read through the attitudinal factors. And this is really important. And I have found by establishing these factors first, it helps you folks to, sorry, just a quick question from Peggy. Yes, it is virtual. We're not going to make you come from out west to the half-day retreat. It is virtual. Okay, so let me go into share screen now, because what I want to talk about now is literally laying the ground to help you to go deeper into your mindful practices with these 7 very helpful attitudes to cultivate, and to really keep these attitudes in your awareness as you go through the different practices. So these 7 attitudes, I'm just going to just read what John Kabat-Zinn says about this. He says, the attitude with which you undertake the practice of paying attention and being in the present is crucial. It is literally the soil. So I chose an image of somebody with their hands in the soil, and it's actually particularly poignant for me because I'm one of these people that loves to garden. And it is the soil in which you will be cultivating your ability to calm your mind and relax your body and to concentrate and to see more clearly. So these attitudes really foster and really provide the foundation for being able to go deeper with your practice. And since together they constitute the foundation upon which you will be able to build a strong meditation practice of your own, they need to be introduced right up front of our program. In previous programs, it's good you guys weren't in my beta test class, the very first one I did, although I think there might be at least one person here who was in that program. But every time I teach this program again, I learn more, and I personally deepen into my teaching of this program. And so I want to read to you now, because I didn't include these attitudes up front back then. And I've noticed that when I do, it's more powerful. So I would like to read through what you read in your home assignment to really have it sink in even more, and to reflect on it as I'm reading them. So the first is non-judging. And you will hear me talk about non-judging a lot in this program. In fact, all these attitudinal factors, these attitudes, you'll hear me mentioning them over and over and over again. So non-judging. It tends to be human nature to judge all experiences as either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And what that does, when we judge an experience in this way, it leads us to wanting more of what we judge as pleasant, less of what we judge as unpleasant, and to blow by or have very little awareness of what we judge as neutral, what we barely pay attention to. Like maybe eating a raisin, which is the meditation practice we went through last week. So what happens is these judgments, without us even being aware of it, limit our perception, which is exactly what we're talking about tonight. They limit our perception and they limit our experiences. And when we can actually move beyond the judgments that unconsciously pop up all the time, we can actually see what's arising in the moment with greater clarity, with greater insight and greater understanding. And that helps us to better meet the challenges or whatever comes up in our lives, if we can bring a non-judging attitude to it. The second one, and mea culpa, I am really guilty of this one, striving. And so what we want to cultivate is non-striving. So mindfulness practice itself does require a lot of commitment and a lot of energy and your focus, and to simply to arrive where you already are in the present moment. It takes a lot of work. However, striving to have an experience that you had maybe last week in your practice, or thinking that this isn't right what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be sitting here like the Buddha, very calm, very relaxed. So if you're thinking that the experience that you're having right now is somehow less than, it's only going to lead to greater stress and anxiety. So when you realize you're trying too hard, you want this to be perfect, let that go and just take a deep breath and see if you can just feel your body relax into the moment. The next one is beginner's mind. So with beginner's mind, we approach each moment as if for the first time. So that practice you had last week, you forget about it. And instead of having a preconceived idea of how it should go or how things are or how a person is in your mind, or how we must react and behave, if you can let that go and begin to just see with fresh eyes whatever is here as if it was the first time, there are endless possibilities that you can begin to experience and explore with beginner's mind. And it's a tough one. And we're going to talk tonight about how our experiences through our lives unconsciously shape how we see things. And so to actually consciously say, I'm going to meet this moment brand new is actually very challenging. The next one is trust. So times will come in your mindfulness practice when you really, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a challenge. You feel like you're going backwards rather than forwards. In those times, and trust me, we all have them. In those times, you just got to trust. And you just got to not second guess yourself and not think that your practice is not good enough and that your own basic wisdom and goodness is enough. Patience is the next one. So just like you cannot force a flower to bloom, and I've been doing laps around my garden and looking at the crocuses and the daffodils, and I'm chomping at the bit for all these flowers to pop up. But just as you cannot force the flowers to bloom, you cannot force your practice to be a certain way. So patience brings peacefulness and stillness and wisdom. From again, what we want to be able to do in our practice is see the moment exactly as it is, without all these preconceived ideas or notions that we don't even realize is there. Acceptance. Acceptance, we really can't be present in the moment if we don't accept it as it is. Okay, so I would say for me, this attitude is probably the hardest to cultivate because acceptance is opening up to whatever is happening in the moment. And remember what I said? What arises in the moment can be pleasant, but it can also be unpleasant or we barely notice it. And so it's when those challenging moments arise and being able to meet it with acceptance is a practice in and of itself. But without acceptance, we cannot work with the moment, we cannot change it or enjoy it. And so to be mindful, we have to learn to accept the whole spectrum of the present moment, as long as it isn't overwhelming. And that comes back to that window of tolerance I was sharing with you guys. But if you can ride the waves of intensity within your window, you are strengthening your muscle of acceptance. This is huge. So final attitude to cultivate is in letting go of one moment, we can then open up to the next. This is another tough one because sometimes we don't want to let go of something. We want to hang on to it for dear life. So, as we let go of past experiences or thoughts about the future and our ideas of how we think things are or should be, we enter fully into this moment. So, there's a difference between letting go and pushing away. So, letting go is different. Letting go is simply softening, breathing out, recognizing our attachments in a non judgmental way in our mind and body, and as best as we can, making room for things as they are right now. So, these attitudes, really important. If you want to go deeper with your practice, they need to be cultivated. So, if anybody has any questions on those before we move into the next part of the class, I'm happy to stop share and discuss. So you may want to raise your hand if you're interested in sharing something around that. Okay. So I want to move now into how we see things and how that determines how we react or respond to them. So when you did the home practices this week, and I'm hoping you did, if you want to get anything out of this program, you're going to have to do the practices. I'm wondering if any of you noticed the regularity with which your mind gets distracted by thoughts. And yeah, so I'm seeing people smiling, people nodding. Yeah, really, that is for a lot of people brand new to mindfulness and actually stopping and watching their breath and eating raisins and being in the present moment. The first thing that they notice is how busy the mind is. So I'm going to go now into another slide. So, oops, I'm going to go here from the beginning. Okay, so when we start to pay attention to what is arising in the moment, we start to notice that the mind likes to dance between two modes. And I like to call them the two slices of cheese, the thinking mode and the being. So let's look at the first slice of cheese, the thinking mode. So we talked last week about the flashlight of your attention. And most of the time, for most of us, the flashlight of our attention, as you've maybe started to notice, is absorbed in our thinking. It's absorbed in our planning, in our remembering, in our analyzing, in our organizing, in our evaluating. And I don't want to give thinking a bad rap. A lot of people who go through this MBSR program can sometimes think thinking is bad and sensing is good. Absolutely not. So thinking is not bad in itself. We need it. However, it can be a really powerful influence that can take us away from being fully present in the moment. So noticing the thinking mind's tendency to judge, there's that word, we want to practice non-judging, but you'll probably notice that the mind likes to judge, and it likes to judge a lot our experiences. And the judging is that our experiences are somehow off in some way. And if that's the case, where we're starting to judge ourselves or others or a certain situation, the mind then goes off in all these stories around that. and story after story after story, and you're just gone from the present moment. Is anyone starting to notice the judging mind? So the very first attitudinal factor, as I just went through, was trying to cultivate non-judging. And yet our habitual tendency is to want to judge. Our mind really wants to fix things or have the situation or experience that we're currently having be other than it is. And the mind is constantly trying to figure out how to fix something or make things better. And so here's another word going to come up again: cultivating our acceptance, which is another attitude of how it is right now, even if it's just simply noticing, judging mind, I see you. This is really important. So we don't want to judge ourselves for noticing the judging mind, but just to become aware of it. So let's look at the other slice of cheese, the sensing mode. So perhaps for those of you who did the raisin meditation last week with me in class, maybe there were moments in last week's eating meditation when instead of the mind getting lost in the stories, you were present to what was actually happening in your body through the language of sensation as you were eating the raisin. And maybe, or cranberry or carrot, whatever it was that you were eating. And maybe you noticed a real palpable shift. Something was different when you really dropped into your sense doors. You become alive to the moment, to what is actually happening in your bodies and your minds. So sight, touch, smell, sound, taste. So when we're in the sensing mode, and we practice a lot in mindfulness to cultivate this being in this sensing mode, because in our culture, we're not so good at it. So in the mindfulness program, what being in the sensing mode can help us to do is it can help us to respond to a situation that arises in the moment with choice, rather than reacting automatically, which may have taken you down ruts that you're trying to figure out how to no longer do. And so this is something we are going to continue to practice more throughout this program. You'll notice that in most of the classes going forward, we do a movement practice to get embodied. And we often do a lot of our practices to get into the body in the first half of the class. And here's the goal between these two slices of cheese, the two modes of mind that we're working towards in a mindfulness program. And that is, over time, through commitment, through discipline, through consistent practice, we are discovering a balance. This is what we're going for. We're going for a balance between both awareness of our senses in the moment and at the same time be present to the thoughts that can help us to respond skillfully to the challenges that inevitably arise in our lives. And so when we're in our sense doors, it gives us the space to see clearly how we want to respond to challenges in our lives in a way that is beneficial instead of harmful to ourselves and to others. So that's what this program's basically about. So does anybody have any comments or questions about these two modes of mind that you're going to constantly notice that you're dancing between in all of the practices that we do. So let's do another practice now that brings us into the sensing mode. And again, the sensing modes is all our sense doors and of sight, smell, taste, sound, touch. And also, it's an opportunity to notice the thoughts. So, just to be with the thoughts and to notice any emotions that might be arising as well. And so, we're going to do a standing yoga practice or movement practice, whatever you want to call it. And what I want to do before we stand up together is actually explore a few helpful guidelines to allow us to practice this movement in the present moment. And then after that, we're going to be transitioning right down to the floor or an elevated surface like a bed, or I know some of you are using gravity chairs, so anti-gravity chairs. So wherever you want to transition to, we're going to move into the body scan practice. And so you'll be in choice as to the position that you do the body scan. But here's a few things I'd like you to reflect on before we actually move into practice. So like last week, we're going to be starting in standing, and we're going to be doing movements, practicing being non-judgmental of ourselves. So some of us may be able to do a movement quite easily. Some of us will not. I'm going to offer a few modifications, and you can always talk to me after class if you'd like a few more. But your intention is to build a healthy mind-body awareness. And as you engage in the movements, and you'll also hear me call them postures, you're going to notice limits or edges for you. And often those limits or edges can often be like a twinge or, oh, I can't really move past that point, or it's going to be painful, or I'm feeling a lot of stretching, whatever it is. So you're going to move up to those limits or edges, and you're going to explore those sensations right at the edge. But it is not, and here's the non-striving piece, that attitude, it's not about striving, and it is not about pushing yourself past your limits. So we live in a culture where it's like, go for it, no pain, no gain, not in this class. You go up to the limit and you just stay there friendly and curious. And never put yourself in a posture that isn't appropriate for you. You could always visualize doing a posture rather than actually engaging in it. And there's actually a lot of benefit by just visualizing. If that particular movement you know intuitively to be not good for you. And look deeply at the sensations in the body, as well as the thoughts that arise as you move in and out of the various poses. And here's the final thing, and we always get hung up on this, and I'm no different. The best results in mindful movement is to not try to achieve any result at all. You're not trying to achieve any particular state of mind and body. You're not trying to become more relaxed or more peaceful. What you're simply doing is being present to what's here. Pleasant, unpleasant, respecting your limits, or neutral. And bringing a friendly curiosity to what's actually coming up as you go through these movements. Okay, any questions before we go through our movement practice? And from there, we're going to go right into body scan. So you can get yourself ready for that too. So let's all come to standing. All right, just going to bring the screen down here, and I'm going to just back off. So let's come to standing with your feet underneath your hips, hip width apart, and your toes are roughly pointed forward. They may feel a little bit more comfortable, actually pointed out slightly or in slightly, so just wherever you're comfortable. And what you can do here is just feel your feet on the floor. You could even just lift your 10 toes and wiggle them and feel the sensations of you wiggling your toes. And then slowly lower your toes back to the surface that you're standing on and just feel that. And then what we're going to do is often we can unconsciously be a little rounded forward or even leaning forward a little bit. So what I'd like you to do is to just gently draw the sides of your throat back a little bit so that your ears are aligning more over your shoulders and your shoulders are aligning over your hips. And as I do it, I feel a little bit more weight in my heels and less gripping in my toes. So just see if you can find that. And then let's begin by coming into the moment by connecting to our friend that is always with us 24/7, and that is our friend, the breath. So just be aware of the movement of the breath expanding into your lungs as you breathe in your own rhythm. Your breath may be deep, it may be shallow. And then when you're ready, just let that breath go and feel the movement in your body as the breath releases. And breathing in. Feel the sort of stretchy, expansive feeling as you breathe in. And feel the movement of the breath in your body as you let go. And as I do it, there's sort of a sense of dropping and softening. And one more breath in. And one more breath out. And then let's slowly roll the shoulders and just attend to the sensations in your shoulders, your neck, your head, your back. As you roll those shoulders back and up and forward and down. Some of you might even notice clicks and pops as you roll back and up, forward and down. And again, just move to your limits, to your edges. You could make the movement smaller or not do it at all. And then reverse. So now I'm going to round those shoulders a little forward and up. And then feel my upper back, the shoulder blades squeeze a little bit, back and down. Forward and up. Pulling those shoulders back and down. Noticing all those clicks, pops, clunks, whatever is here with friendliness and curiosity. Good. Okay, so let's do a little movement for the arms. It may be a little, it may be a lot. Thumbs point forward. Squeeze your butt cheeks together just a little bit here. See if you can still align ears over shoulders, gazes at the horizon. Now, slowly begin to travel your arms forward. And they may come to shoulder height. They may be comfortable to continue higher. What I'd like you to notice is the sensations in your arms and hands as the air passes by. And then slowly, maybe on an exhale, travel the arms back down. Can you feel the subtle brush of the air? Can you notice sensations in your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your neck? Just move to your limits and no further. Squeeze your bum as you come up, and it might limit how high your arms can go. Not a problem. Slowly back down. And one more breath. Breathing in, feeling the real subtle brush of that air. And slowly travel back down. And just pause at the bottom. You might want to close your eyes and drop your attention into what you notice in your arms and your hands. What do you notice? Just curious, just friendly. Okay, now the next movement, you could have a chair behind you just as a guide here. So that's an option for you. And I'm standing with my feet hip width apart, and I'm standing with my ears aligning over shoulders. And all I'm doing here is I'm reaching my bum back as if I was going to sit in the chair, but I'm not going to come all the way down. So you may bend your knees a little like this, a little more, or a lot. Some of you may even tap the chair. We're all going to be different, and come back up. So honoring your limits. I'm inhaling down. I just heard my knee crack. It always does. It's just I have a very talkative body. It doesn't hurt. But I'm just noticing the sensations in my legs, hearing sounds as I go up and down. Now, that may be enough. Some of you may be interested in actually staying in the squat for a count of 3. Your choice. So again, respect your limits. Maybe here, maybe here, maybe not at all, maybe here. For a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then gently, slowly come up. Drop your attention into the result or the effect of that in your breathing, your heart, sensations in the body. The next movement, if you want to use the chair as a reference, I'm just turning to face to the seat of the chair. And I'm going to start in this nice upright position with my hands on the front of the thighs. And what I'm doing in this movement is called a hip hinge. And I teach it in another program that I offer. And this movement, the spine stays in its neutral curves, just like this. And the only thing that's happening is I'm hinging at the groins and I'm just reaching my bum back. So I'm not rounding my spine, I'm just hinging at the hip. And the chest stays a little lifted as the bum reaches back. And you'll notice that I don't come down all the way to the floor. And as my bum reaches back, I'm feeling sensation in my bum and maybe the back of the legs. Just see what you're feeling, respecting any limits, and then grounding into the feet to come up. And again, notice how my spine isn't rounding, it's just hinging at the groin, chest stays lifted, and then grounding into the heels to help you come back up. And one more time, and my breathing, you could be breathing however you want. I'm just inhaling down and exhaling as I come back up, but it really doesn't matter. And then final one, you could stay down, maybe with the hands on the thighs. If you wanted to stay down, you don't have to. Or maybe placing hands on chair for a bit more support. And keeping your gaze a little bit beyond the chair on the ground and reaching your bum back for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And either slowly walking the hands up the legs or actually placing your hands on your hips, squeeze your elbows together and come back up. And just notice the sensations in your body. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. What's the thinking mind doing? Were you noticing that you were at your limit or went past it? What are you noticing now? So just noticing the mind as well as the body. Now we're going to bring your feet a little wider than the hips. So for me, I'm just straddling my mat. You could be on the floor. And I'm turning my toes out here and my knees are turning out. So just see what your hips think about that. And then stretching your arms up if you're comfortable to do so. I'm just going to move back here so you can see my whole body in the recording. And then I'm going to bend the knees here. So my toes are turned out, knees are turned out, and I bring my arms into what is called cactus arms. And I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together and coming back up. So playing with your limits, You do not have to come into a movement that doesn't feel right for you. So inhaling down and exhaling up. Inhaling down, and my elbows pull back a little bit to feel a squeeze between my shoulder blades. My knees are opening like a book, and come back up. Final movement, I'm going to come down and I'm going to stay. So your choice. And I'm going to stretch my arms out, and I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together, and I'm going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bringing the arms down, straightening the legs, walking my feet together, and again, dropping into the sensations in my body, noticing what you're noticing, what you're noticing in the sensations. Are there any thoughts about this experience? Are there any emotions arising for you? Seeing if you can hold it all with an attitude of curiosity and non-judging. The next movement, you could use the support of a wall or the back of a chair if balance is challenging for you. Some people will want to challenge their balance a little bit more with the hands on the waist. So again, I'm standing back on my heels, hips over heels, gaze to the horizon, and shifting a little bit more weight into my left leg. Rooting down into my left foot, with or without a hand for support. Take your right leg out to the side and slowly come back down. I'll do that again. 2, 3. And notice how I'm not tipping over. I'm staying upright. So the leg isn't coming out very far. And I'm going to choose, perhaps, to stay out and then just pulse my heel here back a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back down and notice. What are you noticing? And I'm just going to move my chair around to the other side. You can face the opposite direction so that the right hand is on the chair, standing upright, shifting a little bit more weight into that right leg, taking that left leg out. 1, 2, 3. And if you want, you can hold and pulse for a count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we're going to transition down to the floor. If that is not what you choose to do tonight, can you transition to an elevated surface like a bed that you can still hear my voice? If you are on an elevated surface, you could do this movement with your feet on the ground and just lifting your chest forward and rounding your spine. So we are going to do a similar movement on the floor. So for those of you who want to continue to travel down to the floor instead of an elevated surface, I'm going to just use my chair for support to come down one leg at a time. I'm on my yoga mat now. You could be on an elevated surface like a bed. You really want something, if you're trying to do this on a couch, it's going to be awkward because the cushions are probably too soft. You really do need a firm mattress for an elevated surface. And then from here, we're just going to extend the heart forward, sitting in the chair, do the same thing, extend the heart forward, and then just round the spine, look down between your hands. If you're sitting in a chair, look down between your knees. And it's not a big movement. You're just stretching the heart forward. I do it as I breathe in, rounding the spine, looking down, relaxing the back of the head as I breathe out. And just going back and forth a few times, moving the spine, noticing sensations in the body,
noticing emotions, noticing any thoughts traveling through the mind. We're not trying to achieve anything. We're just simply present with what's arising in the mind and body, moment by moment by moment. And then from here, if you care to, if you're done, and you can simply watch and return to the recordings later as you wish. But we're going to come to lie on the back with the knees bent. So just coming to lie down on the back, knees bent, feet hip width apart, arms down alongside the body here. And just decide if your body has reached its limit and it's probably a wise choice to not push further, or if you'd like to explore mindfully and continue. So pressing down into the feet, gently squeeze those butt cheeks together and see if you can lift your bum maybe a little bit or higher off the ground. Notice what you're feeling in the body. Respect those limits and slowly come back down. And slowly come up again. Now at the top of the movement, wherever you are, if you're here, press down into your feet a little bit more and squeeze your bum. And notice the sensations and slowly come back down. Third time, we're going to stay up for a count of 5 if you choose to join. So we're slowly coming up. Squeeze the bum, press down into the feet. Feel the sensations in your body for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly come back down. You can move your arms, palms up or down, doesn't matter, a little bit away from the body. And you can walk your feet just a little bit wider from each other and just let your knees just sway side to side like a windshield wiper. So you don't have to go far, maybe 6 inches to each side, but just releasing your hips and your back. Just as you gently let those knees sway from side to side. You don't have to go far. And then come back to the center. Bring your arms in, walk your feet in again so they're about hip width apart. Now the next movement, you're very mindful of engaging the muscles in your abdomen so that your spine doesn't move, your rib cage doesn't move. You're holding the muscles in your abdomen nice and steady. If you're comfortable to, if you're feeling discomfort in the neck, you may want to put a blanket underneath the head. Your knees are bent, feet are hip width apart. So can you gently tone the abdominal muscles and slowly inhale the right knee up so that the right knee is aligning right over your groin and your heel is in the same plane as your knee. So there's sort of a 90-90 angle here. And then can you hold your muscles so that your spine doesn't move as you slowly lower that right foot back to the floor? Let the muscles relax and notice. And then slowly see if you can engage the muscles again to hold your spine and ribs from moving. And see if you can bring your left knee up so that your left knee aligns over the groin and the heel aligns with the knee. And can you hold those muscles so the spine doesn't move as you slowly lower the left foot down? And we're going to do that twice more to each side, alternating sides if you haven't reached your limit. And if you have, you can just relax and breathe. So tone your muscles, bring your right leg up again, knee aligning over hip crease and heel aligning with knee. And without moving the spine, slowly lower your right foot back down. Hold those muscles, bring the left knee up. And hold those muscles as you lower the left foot down. If pain signals or it's becoming, you're just knowing that this is moving beyond your limit, beyond your edge, you can stop and rest. We're going to do one more for those choosing to join in. Right leg up. Don't let the spine move as you lower your right foot down. Left foot up and slowly lower down. Pause for a moment. Notice with friendliness and curiosity the sensations in the body. And those who wish, we're going to hold for a count of 5 the right leg up. So tone the abdomen, bring the right leg up, check to see this is a wise choice for tonight, and hold 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down. Left leg, tone, come up, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down. Arms wide, walk your feet a little bit wider and just release. Windshield wiper from side to side. And then draw first your left knee towards the chest, hand lightly on your left knee, left hand lightly on your left knee. And if you care to, right knee, right hand lightly on your right knee, and make tiny little circles with your knees moving in the same direction on the ceiling a few times in each direction. And then slowly lower 1 foot at a time. And now we're going to transition to a comfortable position for your body scan. So just move to where you would like to practice the body scan this evening. So the body scan is an invitation to fall awake rather than to fall asleep. So if any feelings of drowsiness arise, you may want to try keeping your eyes open from time to time. See if you can allow this to be a nourishing time, resting in this moment with an open mind and heart. Bringing the attitudes of friendliness and curiosity and beginner's mind, even when unpleasant thoughts, feelings, and emotions arise. In fact, it's especially important to put out the welcome mat for these unpleasant experiences and rest in open-hearted, non-reactive attending as best you can. No one says this is easy, but it is at the heart of the being mode that we are cultivating here. See if you can allow this to be a nourishing time, letting go of judgmental and critical thoughts in particular, as best you can. Allowing yourself to feel what you're already feeling, accepting this, whatever it is, and knowing it's okay. Bring your awareness now to the body as a whole, lying here, breathing. As long as you're breathing, there is more right with you than wrong with you.
no matter what the condition of your body and its history, and no matter what you are facing in this moment. Feeling the sensations of contact with the surface you are lying, and feeling the wave-like rhythms of the breath as it flows in and out of the body. As you continue to breathe, where is the breath most apparent right now? Do you feel the breath most vividly in the nostrils, or the chest, or the belly, or somewhere else? Seeing if it is possible to sink deeper into the surface you were lying on as the muscles in your body let go with every out breath. Noticing when the mind gets carried away by the thought stream. In those moments, notice what's on the mind and then gently bring your attention back to the breath and to the body lying here. Keep in mind, it is the nature of the mind to wander and to think. So it is bound to happen a lot, and it's not a sign that you're doing anything wrong. Breathing in now and noticing the breath traveling down the left side of your body and right down into those left toes. Really tuning into those left toes, perhaps distinguishing each toe from all the others. Noticing sensations of contact, perhaps heat, coolness, numbness, tingling. The actual sensations aren't important. What's important is just experiencing what's here, experiencing the sensations as they already are. And no sensation is considered awareness of sensation. Be aware if you're experiencing the sensations as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Be aware if you're having any emotional reactions, whether it's sadness, boredom, impatience, judging. All this held in awareness without having to do anything at all. See if you can take a deeper inhalation now, right into those left toes, cradling for a moment, and then watching them dissolve in our mind's eye as we shift our attention to the bottom of the foot and the sides of the foot. Noticing what's here to be felt, and breathing in to this part of the foot and breathing out into the top of the foot, the ankle, the shin, and the calf. Noticing the sensations on the surface and deep in your bone. bringing your mind back to this lower left leg if we notice it is being carried away by the thought stream. Breathing into the lower leg now, and breathing out into the area of the knee, the front of the knee, the back of the knee, the inside of the knee, the outside of the knee, and deep inside the knee. Simply present to what's here, curious and friendly. Breathing into the left knee and breathing out into the area of the left thigh, front of the thigh, back of the thigh, left hip, left inner groin. Breathing into the whole left leg. And breathing out now, down into the left foot, the left toes, the right toes, the top of the foot, the sides of the foot, the bottom, the ankle. Being present with the sensations as they are. Breathing into the right foot, and then shifting your attention as you breathe out into the right shin, right calf, and right knee. Observing the sensations as they are. Breathing into the lower right leg, and breathing out into the right thigh. Observing the sensations, whatever they are, in your right thigh. Perhaps heaviness, lightness, or warmth. Allowing it to be as it already is. Accepting the feelings we are feeling. Tuning into whatever sensations are to be felt as we lie here. And breathing into the area of the right thigh and hip. And as you breathe out, bringing your awareness to the pelvis. The pelvic floor. The buttocks. And as you breathe out, watch the area soften and release. Totally present, totally content to be just as you are right now. And breathing into the area of the pelvis and breathing out into the area of the lower back, a region that is prone to fatigue and strain. And letting the breath penetrate the whole region, letting the sensations be as they are, allowing any intensity of sensation to be included, and invite any tension to flow out with the out breath. As we shift our attention to the region of the belly and the sides of the lower torso, right up to the bottom of the rib cage, feeling the belly rise and fall with each breath. In touch with the sensations and recognizing any emotions that might be arising and passing away. Taking a slow, deep, more intentional breath in and feel it fill the entirety of the abdomen. And then letting go as the breath flows out, moving our attention into the area of the chest, upper back, shoulder blades, collarbone. Feel the whole chest fill on the in-breath and release on the out. Recognizing any feeling of contraction or tension and any emotions that might be arising and passing as we linger here. And when you are ready, take a long, slow, more intentional breath in. Feel the rib cage expand and then letting the breath release. Moving your awareness into the hand, the wrists, the forearm, the elbows, the upper arm, the armpits, and the shoulders. Feeling both arms as we lie here. Breathing into both arms, and as you breathe out, moving our awareness into the region of the neck and throat. Another region where it's common that stress and tension can accumulate. Being aware of any sensations of tension, just being with the experience as it is, moment by moment, and breath by breath. Moving your attention now into the area of the neck and head. Be aware of the back of the head in contact with the surface you are lying on. Bringing your awareness to the mouth, jaw, cheeks, nose, ears, and letting sound come to the ear. Eyes resting back. Temples, forehead, top of the head. Being with the sensations in the whole area of the face and head, just as they are. Recognizing any thoughts or emotions that might be moving through the mind, like clouds in the sky. And breathing now into the whole area of the head. And as you breathe out, let go of this region as well. Letting your awareness dissolve into neutral, into stillness.
and natural peacefulness as the breath lets go, as the mind lets go, and we come to rest in awareness itself. That we can once again hold the whole body now in our awareness, aware of your feet, legs, torso, arms, neck, and head. Feeling the whole body as a constellation of sensation. Complete as you are. Whole as we are. Our limitations are not confined here. We are open to things as they are. This orientation to awareness that is profound. And as this practice comes to its natural conclusion, you may want to take this time to once again congratulate yourself for having made this time to nurture yourself in this way. Forming an intention and resolve to keep practicing regularly over the days, weeks, and months to come. To befriend yourself in this way over and over again. And let your deep inner resources nourish your life as the tendencies of the habitual and driven doing are recognized, seen, and healed by the domain of being, by the domain of mindfulness. Gently now. Begin to wiggle your toes. Feel your toes. Begin to wiggle your fingers and thumb. Feel them. And then slowly, mindfully begin to move your legs and your arms. Slowly begin to move your head, starting to stretch and move your torso. Okay, so what we have here, we're about to head into a seated meditation. And what I wanted to show you is all the different ways you can sit. We often think we have to sit here and we force our poor hips and backs into something like this. And trust me, you will not be able to focus on awareness of thoughts and probably just overly focus on the pain. Some people will be able to sit like this, but other people may want to actually kneel with a cushion or a meditation bench. You can get meditation benches in a lot of different places. But a lot of people just choose to sit in a chair. And I just want you to notice that he's sitting on a little bit of a cushion so that his back isn't rounding into the chair. In all of these sitting postures, do you see how upright the spine is? This is really important to stay alert and aware when you're practicing seated meditation. So pick something, and then if your body is in a lot of pain, for example, and sitting in any of these isn't an option, you are always welcome to stand or lie down or find another position where you're more comfortable. I'm just going to come off of stop share. So pick a position. I'm going to be guiding you through now another practice, and just so I'm going to guide you through a practice now where we're going to focus on the anchor of your breathing. It's going to be about 10 minutes or so. So find a position where you're going to be comfortable in sitting, or find another position. So you can choose to have your eyes open or softly closed. This is a sitting meditation, and what we're doing in mindfulness is you are actually taking a seat right in the middle of your life. So because meditation is a mirror of your life, when you sit down in meditation, you're intentionally bringing yourself into a very direct and intimate relationship with this moment, which is your life, and what's arising for you in your life in this moment, whether it's unpleasant, whether it's pleasant, and whether it's neutral. And so what we're doing is we're learning how to hold whatever is arising as best you can, with the attitudes of non-judging, non-striving, beginner's mind, trust, patience, acceptance, and letting go. So this is an opportunity to expand your attention, to explore your breath, to become more familiar moment by moment and breath by breath with who you are, beyond all of the wanting and having and doing. Feel the contact of the surface beneath you, holding you. Feel gravity receiving you and the earth holding you. Find a point of balance where you can sit comfortably with minimal discomfort. And if you can, allow the body to become still. Bringing your attention now to the sense of the body breathing. The breath entering and leaving the body. See if you can bring curiosity and freshness to the moment. Where do you notice the sensations of the breath most apparent in your body in this moment? The nostrils, back of the throat, chest, belly, or somewhere else? Wherever you notice the sensation of the breath most vividly, see if you can center your attention right there. Notice the qualities of your breathing and how they can change from moment to moment. One breath might be rough, another smooth, maybe deep, maybe shallow.
Maybe the breath feels raspy or tight or constricted. Or maybe the breath feels long, smooth. Not trying to control the breath, but riding the wave of the breath with your attention. Being with the breath exactly as it is in this moment, without judging. Simply breathing in and out, aware of the movement of the breath. Noticing that there's a beginning, middle, and end to your in-breath. And a beginning, middle, and end to your out-breath. Watching the entirety of the in-breath. And then notice a pause or a space at the end of the in-breath before it shifts and moves into the out-breath. And then noticing at the end of the out-breath, a pause and a turn towards the in-breath. The pauses joining the two parts of the breath like a wheel. If you notice the attention has left the breath, this is a moment of mindfulness. Just simply be aware and choose to bring your attention back over and over again to this breath. Then this one. This one. This one. Over and over, breath by breath. Remember that in the letting go of distraction, the important word is gentle. We can gently let go of a thought that's carried the mind away and forgive ourselves that our mind has wandered. And then with great kindness to ourselves, we begin again. And now, when you're ready, you can widen your attention beyond the breath to include the awareness of your entire body sitting here. Sensing the contact of the chair and with the floor. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. So that's going to be part of your home assignment this week, is to do about a 10 minute practice sitting and watching your breath. Okay. So I want to move now to a little bit more teaching where we're going to focus on how we see things and how that can influence how we either react to something instinctively, like we always have, or widen out and make more conscious choices, which is what mindfulness is about. So I'm going to move back into share screen now. And I want to go to the 9 dots. And actually, let me just get into slideshow here. So I want to get into the 9 dots. So here we go. So there's one line, and we can't take the pencil off of the page. Second, third, fourth. So what this I never said that you couldn't extend the line outside of the conceptual box of the 9 dots. However, our habit patterns, our way of seeing the world often constricts our way of approaching a challenge. And what this puzzle, and I'm going to be coming back and referring to this puzzle quite often in this program, because what it's saying is if we can use mindfulness to actually create a little bit more space when we're facing a challenge, whether it's a puzzle or something in our lives, could I maybe approach it a little bit differently? Maybe outside the box, a little more creatively, by expanding our awareness around the problem itself. So we want to, in mindfulness, create a sense of space, moment to moment, which is why I'm getting you to really pay attention to what's arising in the moment without having your head in the soup. Your head's outside of the soup and you're feeling the sensations, you're noticing the thoughts, you're feeling emotions. We haven't talked about emotions, but we will. And so if we can actually hold that in a wider, more spacious way through our practices, the possibilities become very interesting in terms of how we meet the challenges in our lives. So we're getting close to time, and I really want to respect your time. But I'm hoping that we can do one more exercise together so I can further make a certain point. So I'm just going to stop share here. Where are we at? Yeah, we're good. We're good for time. So it's still okay to record, Laura. So this is an inquiry, and I'll often do a little guided inquiry. And this is just going to be a short little visualization you can all do. So you can have your eyes open or closed, whatever you're more comfortable with. But I'd like you to all just sit tall for a moment. And if you're able to close your eyes, it's sometimes a little bit easier to imagine. So imagine a scenario. And this scenario is where you're walking down the street and you see someone that you know on the other side of the street. You smile and you wave, but the person doesn't seem to notice and just walks by. So just notice what's arising for you now as you bring that scenario to mind. Are there thoughts in your mind? Can you feel sensations in your body? Where in your body? Are there associated emotions? And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes.